This conservatory in Regina, Saskatchewan is known for more than just music. Even the name Darke Hall suggests there may be more to this university facility than meets the eye. One night, a young student was working late when she caught a momentary glimpse of a shadowy figure in the stairwell. And then, as quickly as it came, it vanished. As she made her way down the stairs, she saw the figure again. Frightened, yet compelled, she followed it. When she entered the conservatory auditorium, her terror grew as the figure once again disappeared.
So, Darke Hall, is it really haunted? I've always wanted to know. Darke Hall was built in 1928 in Regina, Saskatchewan after Francis Nicholson Darke. Darke was born in 1863, originally from Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. He later moved to Regina in 1891 at the age of 28 after marrying his wife Annie. Darke was elected mayor in 1898 at the age of 35 and remains as Regina's youngest mayor ever. Darke donated $85,000 and raised a further $40,000 to help establish Regina College in 1910. A year after construction was complete in 1929, he donated money to build Darke Hall for music, which is located directly beside the former school. Darke later died in 1940 at the age of 77. He was placed in the only mausoleum in Regina at the Regina Cemetery. Darke is said to haunt the music hall to this day. Multiple witnesses have claimed to have seen a well-dressed gentleman sitting in the middle of the theater. Once the performance was over, he vanished. Looking into the buildings themselves, there are some creepy things here. Darke Hall and the now Music Conservatory that was originally built to be the Regina College School are connected underground by a tunnel. But it's rumored that there's a second secret tunnel connecting both of these buildings to Darke's house across the street. Now, Darke is not the only spirit known to haunt Darke Hall. When the building first opened, it was the home to many students. During this time, an unfortunate typhoid crisis broke out. 68 students, 4 teachers, and 6 staff members contracted typhoid. 8 students died. Their funerals were then held inside of the building. During the Second World War, Regina College was taken over by the initial flying training school for British Commonwealth. One of the men who lived there at a party fell off the building and died.
Another tragic event in Darke Hall's history may account for some of the campus's paranormal occurrences. In the 1930s, the building was used as a military barracks where many soldiers were stationed. During this occupation, an officer jumped to his death from the tower.
To start off my investigation, I thought, who better to ask than someone who works directly with the dead?
My name is Michaela, and I'm a licensed funeral director and embalmer. We were at my grandmother's funeral in my end of grade 12 year, and we were kind of talking about the whole process of embalming, and at that point I didn't know anything about it, but my dad walked by and said it takes someone with great skill and compassion to take care of the dead. And that statement just hit me, and here I am 9 years later. So I look after preparing the bodies for their final disposition. So whether that be getting them ready for cremation or casketing, cosmetizing, dressing for their casket burial, all that kind of work that goes into getting a deceased ready for their next step.
So do you believe in ghosts or the paranormal or anything like that?
I do believe in ghosts.
No, I don't believe in ghosts. However, that's the closest I've ever come to having any sort of experience like that, but I don't believe in ghosts. Carlo Petrovitch. In the 90s, I was a music student at the U of R. I practiced 6 days a week. For the most part, I practiced about 10 hours a day. I was a student there for 6 years. Darke Hall was a part of the music campus. The basement was reserved for music students to practice. Over the years, I spent many hours in Darke Hall practicing. I had 2 occurrences that I can't really explain. First, one late night, as I was by myself, there was a payphone in the basement, and I was talking to a friend. I heard some pipes banging. I decided to go upstairs to the main floor to see what was going on. There was no sound up there. I came back down to the basement. There was the sound. I explained what was happening to him on the phone to my friend. He told me it's probably normal because it's an old building and pipes do bang, which makes sense. But then I realized that that building had been renovated years ago. It was all forced air. I went up and down a couple of times. It was odd that I only could hear it in the basement and nowhere else in the building.
I mean, I feel like there's like maybe different like entities at work, so like depending on which one's around, maybe I'm more a little uncomfortable than other times, but like for the most part, like I'm pretty like used to what I experience. Mostly I see like shadows, like the room between the care center and our dressing room. I'll always see like a black figure standing in the doorway. I've had a pair of like scissors move side to side on me, or like we have the clothing hanging and sometimes I'll see like the bags going back and forth, and there's no wind there, there's no anything, it just moves on its own. Oh, I've heard a man crying in our one office, which I thought I was in the funeral home by myself. And then I heard it, so I was like, oh, my coworker must be there. And I opened the door and no one was in there. I wouldn't say like it's known to be haunted, because I think a lot of like it's like an old time people that work, you know, so like they don't necessarily believe in that. But I mean, we've all seen the shadow in the doorway, like we were discussing, I don't know, maybe a week ago, and we all see it. So there's definitely something that everyone knows is there. Whether or not they have it in their forefront is a different question. So many of our part-timers, I'll always talk about it with them, and I'll be like, well, yeah, don't you know, like, the owner walks around here? And they're like, I don't believe in that.
Yeah, I think it's like definitely something where you have to experience something and then you like start believing.
Absolutely, yeah.
A young woman decided to use the auditorium to read. It seemed like a perfect place since it was quiet and empty. But her peaceful study session was interrupted by the distinct feeling of another presence in the room. She looked around and saw no one. Then the woman felt a nudge on her shoulder, but when she turned to look behind her, again, she saw nothing. She became increasingly more disturbed and decided to leave the auditorium immediately.
The second time was carrying out all my gear outside of Darke Hall, so it took me about 3 trips from the basement up the stairs to the main floor, out through the main doors. I got to the main floor the first trip and I heard lovely piano playing. Now the thing was, this was very late at night, and I thought I was the only person in Darke Hall at the time. I put my stuff away in the car, came back for the second trip. Then in the basement, I could not hear the piano. I only could hear it on the main floor. At that time, I decided to do a little investigation to see if I could find it. I walked up and down, floor by floor. Not only could I not find the piano player, but I only could hear the piano on the main floor. Something told me it was probably a music student. There was a lady that used to practice late at night as well sometimes. But then it occurred to me that this pianist only played music by contemporary composers, Bartok, etc., Scriabin. The music I was hearing was very lyrical, like Beethoven or Mozart. There's no PA system in that building. I could not locate the sound anywhere. I have no idea where that piano player was coming from.
There have been many varied accounts of the strange occurrences and visions at Darke Hall over the years. Some people report encounters with a military officer from a bygone era, while others claim to have seen a woman dressed in a nightgown. There are even those who swear that they have spotted the ghost of Francis Darke himself. Though many of these stories differ, one thing remains constant. These unsettled souls still dwell within the walls of Darke Hall.
The only thing left to do is decide for yourself. Is Darke Hall really haunted? Unfortunately, we weren't allowed to film inside the building because they didn't want to be associated with being haunted. Which, are they trying to hide something? Are they scared that we'll actually capture something on film? That's why they're not letting us film inside? Well, for now, the truth about Darke Hall remains a secret.